between all of these is money. And the degree of discomfort around money, because it is still very hidden, it is still a secretive world, there is still a great degree of anyone talking openly about her or his personal finances, except in the most general way. There's issues in link up with all of these three. This is, I'll come to what the Dharma teachings on this in a moment. The influence of these three is so strong that it generates the difficulty in either giving money or receiving money or whatever. To give a very small immediate example of the emotional anxiety about money, when either teachers or coordinators here suggested, just take, not for any great significance, the table, and said, if someone would like to put the table out there and make some request for some donations, I don't want to labour the point here, there was an immediate, from a few people who have been around the Dharma scene for ages, a kind of flapping of the arms. Oh, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. That flapping of the arms was like chickens in the farmyard. And there's a grave danger of the rebirth that might take place as a result. It just reflects, unfortunately, how difficult. It's easier in situations to stand there and look nice and be still like a statue, because we're so afraid around this issue. There's a hidden world. And the consequences of all of that, it creates increasing, it'd be a rare day I don't hear issues around money from people. Fears, anxiety, control, not having enough, having too much, or the backwards and forwards that goes along with it. Because it's an unexamined area of the emotional life, very rarely, honestly, and openly addressed. The Buddha tried to generate a completely different culture. And the focus and the change in the culture was to shift culture, to make a new culture in a movement away from producing and consuming and having and ownership as a priority for existence, and to an examination of that constructed world in which many and far too many human beings have their existence. In other words, tried to break the mold. What would break the mold? You and I may have a rather superficial recognition that the climate which you and I have been brought up in, with pursuit of security, money, maximization of pleasure through the senses, and sense of self-worth through doing and having, that if you and I begin to question that, and I mean question it, not just complain about it, but question it and inquire about it, you will provoke the reaction of all of those who have sold their soul for it. Because the inner life and the spiritual life and the soul of one's being is murdered through it. It's that tragic. It takes the deep heart out of people. If you don't believe me, just go to London. Go and get on the underground at 8 o'clock in the morning. They are coffins for the living dead. You can see no life in the eyes, no life in the body. It's just, it has become, in the cities, a moving zoo of people who hate what they are doing. It's the world of the living dead. It's a tragic situation. One wonders, how do human beings end up like this? What's happened to the spirit? What's happened to the soul of the being? And so the Buddha's in questioning that structure and the intensity of it. When 1 in 6 men and women in society will need to see a psychiatrist, it's got to be saying something seriously wrong. When there's a situation where the new priests of society are the counselors and the psychologists and the psychiatrists and the therapists, etc., all trying to get people to adjust to a system of imprisonment, to try and get along better within it. No wonder people will use drugs, use alcohol, use whatever because they sense something's wrong with it somewhere, and there's some kind of seeking for something other than that. And that's why unhappiness is so pervasive in society. And we live in the delusion of that world that the more we have and the more we own, we think we'll be happier for it. And one of the extraordinary things about the climate and the culture, it is so powerful, the deceptiveness about it, that as people get richer, they actually feel poorer. Because when they've got whatever it is, $100,000, they envy with $200,000. And if you've got $1 million, it's never quite enough because others have got 2 million and they can do so much more with what they have. So it becomes a breeding ground for inner poverty. But the deception is they're better off. And a core feature of the teachings is radical protest about it. If one thinks, I can have it both ways, in Dharma language it's delusion. If one thinks one can have a profoundly liberated life and spend all the life running after security with death around the corner, pursuit of money and maximum pleasure and enlightenment, this is delusion big time. And that's the challenge of the human being. What matters? And once one says, I want to know what reality is, I want a radical, full-on engagement with to know what really is true, then you will be, and I will be, we will be, in challenging a system which imprisons us, in which we lie to ourselves because we say, well, we want to offer freedom to the rest of the world. We haven't got it ourselves. Who the hell are we to preach to the rest? So the Sangha, that is men and women committed to a radical engagement with life, is of an order to help us, you and I, and others, to have the collective strength to be able to look and to see, where am I imprisoned? Am I in the box? That's an incredible thing to do. Incredible thing to do. One person, I've heard this several times over the years, was relating to